Salute! This is Jeff.
This is David.
Hey, David!
Hey, Jeff.
Let's play Monster Hunter.
Yes.
We've got a new episode. We've got a new monster. We've got a new location. Let's get a new weapon.
Yeah. Now, you said last video that this was the only kind of light bowgun you like.
I like light bowguns in general, but I like the ones that have spread shot as part of their ammo types.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be, well, at the beginning there's not too many options. There's really just the two different trees, bone and ore.
Right.
But this particular, light bowgun will be taking down the, the question mark tree, but we'll get there.
Which question mark tree?
It was one of the question mark trees.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it's one of the question mark trees that's not on there yet. But
oh, it's one of the unknown question mark
tiny little bit.
trees.
So, bowguns work differently than, as the tutorials are saying, they work differently than other weapon types. They have ammunition types, and they have modifications. The modifications will change things like recoil. I am only going to use recoil suppressor, because if you have a +1 or a +2 recoil on a weapon type, or an ammunition type, it means that you can shoot it while moving. So a +3 recoil will mean that you will be knocked back. +3 or +4, you'll be like strong or weak knockback whenever you shoot. And the spread guns, which is shotgun ammo, which I'll be using frequently, usually has very high kickback. There's a few other things you can do. Close range up will increase the damage of the spread shot, which, that's good, but I'd rather be able to, aim and fire consistently. Deviation is how much of a change in the angle it is from one shot to the next, kind of like, sway on the reticle or something like that.
Right. If you have no deviation, you can essentially just fire, and you'll hit the same spot every time. Mm-hmm. It's like that one handgun from Perfect Dark.
Recoil. Yeah. Or, I guess like the pistol from Halo.
That's true. That too.
There's still some kickback. But those mods you don't have to craft, and you always have them available for all of your light bowguns. It's just an option that you set.
Right, and you have it for heavy bowguns too.
Yes, and the heavy bowguns can actually also use the shield, which is an auto-blocking thing, which you have on your bowgun.
Right, which I keep on. Well, we'll see if I keep it on forever, but I have it on for right now.
It's pretty much useful. I think that I'm not a heavy bowgun person, but it was what makes it doable for a lot of monsters, because it will be blocking as long as you're... It actually makes it a lot of... Well, the one thing that I do use heavy bowgun for is for specific part breaking. Because in this game, you don't actually have to beat the monster. If you break the part you want, you can get the reward for just the actual part you broke. So if I need like horns and particular things, then I'm going to go in with a heavy bowgun, put down a paralysis trap, and then just, unload minigun, like the scene in Predator where they're shooting the forest, except actually shooting an actual thing instead of just the forest. So,
right.
And then as soon as the break happens, just, leave the quest, get the rewards, start over if I didn't get what I wanted. It makes it a lot faster, especially since you'll need horns for a lot of the higher tier weapons and, Diablo's horns specifically. But
yeah, I will say because for the rarity of your bowgun, heavy or light determines how many of the modifiers you get to add to it. And 3 shields make it so that the redacted attack by the big redacted monster at the end of the game doesn't even deal damage to you. You can just take that hit and everything's fine, which is great.
It doesn't look like just pointing your gun in its direction would keep you completely safe, but
guess what? You just have to have the gun out and not be reloading or dodging and kind of keeping your camera at him, and you're fine.
What a terrible weapon. I will never use it. We're making some trap tools. Well, we're not making trap tools. We're making traps with trap tools. We went to the provisions manager on top of a little stockpile Thomas version of this game. Got some trap tools. We got some thunderbugs from previous missions, and we combined them together. Now, I'm taking in an extra trap tool and an extra thunderbug because I don't have enough to make pitfall traps yet.
Right. And this way
you can only have one trap with you. But if you use the trap, you can craft one. So if you bring one and then bring the ingredients for one, you can just craft it out in the field.
Right.
And I'll actually include a crafting recipe on the quick item menu, because you can put item recipes on there too. eventually I'll have like flash bug recipes and mega potion recipes too. Don't quite need those yet, but for now, so that I can actually have an extra trap if things go terribly and I don't know, misplace it or place it in a spot that the monster then decides to turn around and go the other way. Things can go bad. But
yeah, they can go bad really fast.
For capturing monsters, we need to have them be trapped and then throw 2 tranquilizer bombs or trank ammo onto them. We mentioned this in the beginner's guide. This is a monster hunter thing.
Yes.
The capturing is great. It's just, like many things, abstruse. So, the trank effect, which maybe describe a little bit more when we get into it, but the trank effect is kind of like an invisible status effect that has no noticeable sort of, visual indicator.
Right. And you don't know if it'll work until it does.
Yes.
You have a pretty good idea.
You have a pretty good idea. Know. And we can spot all of the we can spot the things that we'll need to know that the monster is ready to be captured. But we don't actually have to fight a monster just yet because this is an escort quest and it's a new area. The new area part is exciting.
The new it's also a very pretty area.
Sort of a desert savanna kind of. I don't know. There's lots of mud and water oasis, and then in the north it's more of like steppes, and then northeast is kind of like a desert. There's some caves too.
There's also just the forest part. I think you did say that, but
yeah, that's true. There's the forest in the northwest as well.
And there are also kelbies, and if you smash kelbies in the face, you get their horns without killing them.
Kelbies, yes. The kelbie horns are so important.
Though maybe your kitty's a little homicidal, and while the kelbie's unconscious, they stab them to death. It happens.
Look, kitty's got a sate is kind of. Well, we're gonna do this to the kelbies. If you hit their head with blunt damage,
right,
it will knock their horn off, and they'll be fine. They'll get up and move on.
One thing's for sure. The environment here is completely
blunt damage is a special type, which hammers do. The shield bash from the lance, also the shield bash from the sword and shield. The Y and A or triangle circle attack when you have the weapon out for a light or heavy bowgun.
YB, you mean?
YB, sorry. YB or triangle circle, yes.
Yep.
So hit those at the same time, you'll do that it does stun damage, which is great because it's very easy to do the hits you need in order to get the kelbie horns off the kelbies.
Without murdering them.
Exactly. Now, the reason we want kelbie horns is because we can combine them with Mega Immunizer or regular Immunizer?
Immunizer and then Nourishing Extract or something like that.
I think it's just a Mega Immunizer. Well,
it's how you make Ancient Potions.
Ancient Potions. The Ancient Potion, which you can only have one of in your item pouch, will max out your health and stamina gauge as if you had gotten the full health bonus from food. So like the food health bonus, and also if you had gotten the full stamina bonus, as if you had eaten a few rations or one, like cooked steak.
Right.
Wildlife here are quite resilient creatures.
The scholars are
to the dry climate.
They're fine, but they have a path, and I'm going to try and collect as much as possible while they're talking.
And while they're talking and you're doing this, since I cannot join because you have not seen all of the cutscenes yet. Hi, Clover.
Yes,
sorry, my cat is being my cat. I can't join. So
that's true.
I'm currently running around the Wildspire Waste just collecting stuff.
The previous mission was much easier because the Puke hunt is not doesn't have cutscenes in it that we have to watch. So that one is more indicative of where the co-op goes. This one, unfortunately, is more indicative of where the co-op starts, which is a kind of annoying back and forth where you're waiting on someone to watch a cutscene just so you can get the SOS, which means that they're available to be joined. So unfortunately, yes, this will be a little while before old Bulletaria can fly in.
Why did you turn off auto for the flashbug?
The reason that I disabled flashbug autos is that when you pick up a flashbug, normally will automatically make the flash pods, which is useful. But I want to have flashbugs themselves for the farm.
I thought you
Which-
only had to have collected it, and then the farm could do it. You didn't have to have one on it, because I've cultivated from none before in the farm.
I guess I don't think that's true, but okay. Maybe that is true.
I had to do that for wyvern ammo stuff because I had it set to auto.
Okay. I'll double check on that.
I've
It was
never been to this
my
part of the map.
understanding- Yeah, like this is the cool like little spot. You can get some bliss bills. There's a honey up there. There's ivy, which you can combine with spider webs in order to make pitfall traps.
Everyone, stay on guard.
Oh,
Come on,
I've been
Card.
called
We need
down.
you over
I have
here.
to
Yep, you have to
go back to do the quest now.
Yep.
Do the actual escorting part. But yeah, I like having the flag. Well, if it turns out that I don't actually have to do that, then I can just turn the auto recipe back on.
Right.
I was under the impression that you would need at least one in order to cultivate, but
Right. It may
find out.
just be for the ammos they don't require. I don't know. I just knew that all of a sudden I could cultivate from 0, and that kind of blew my mind. Hey, it's Rathian.
yeah, good old Rathian. Another one of the forever monsters of Monster Hunter.
I believe the Rathian is what Final Fantasy 15 got in the crossover event.
No, it was the Rathalos.
They got the Rathalos.
Yes. In
Go, go, go.
this is sort of like a Nidoran in
You
Pokemon
might be able to
terms.
use your slinger to create some kind of noise and distract
Always
It's
been.
poison. It's poisonous, and there's 2 different species. One of which is explicitly male, and one of which is explicitly female. Mm-hmm. Which this Pokemon comparison is actually more apt than I thought. It's weird, but
Hey,
because they would later add, like genders to Pokemon, but then you have the ones in the first gen, which then there's female and male Nidorans, which are considered different types of species. So then they don't have they're monogendered technically, even though they're the same overarching species. Anyways, my
Right.
point is that the Rathian is the female version of a Rathalos, which is the male version. So they're kind of the same species. Rathian is, green. Rathalos is red.
right.
They make different types of armor and weapons, and they have slightly different,
Yes, much like the Nido
Slightly
Queen
different
and
effects.
Nido King.
Yes.
That was horrifying.
We don't need to fight a Rathian yet, though.
No. Could
Well-
you at this point?
Yeah, I could probably fight a Rathian. Especially with a light bow gun.
Rathian, actually.
Very well practiced with the Rathian Rathalos types, just because they have the same moves since like the first game. So,
Right.
so
And
it's,
while this is the
very
first
familiar.
Monster Hunter I've played, it's not the first Monster Hunter
not,
you've
not
played.
the first one I played, but certainly there have been many, many more that I haven't played. But it's still very familiar, and certainly I've watched a lot of them using the magic of the internet and Let's Plays,
Yes.
like what you're doing right now, dear viewer.
Yes, playing a game through us.
That guy's voice is it's a choice.
That guy's voice is the old guy voice that several people I know do when they're trying to do an over-exaggerated old guy voice.
Now, who could you be talking about?
I don't know.
You say other people you know. Are any of them on this call at the moment?
Possibly.
Is it a voice that sometimes they use when they want you to remain in the same place and then pay attention to the story they are going to tell?
You know, I think it is.
Poop! Poop! I love poop.
Poop's
It's so
very
good.
important. You
Poop's
need
very
all the poop.
important.
You don't need flow ferns. Get rid of those.
They assume
Grab
a
too many
defensive
things.
posture.
Whatever's out there,
I really
it
don't
could be
need
a
the flow
danger to
ferns.
us too.
But you got rid of the
We have to be
antidotes.
careful.
I get rid of the antidotes. I don't need the antidotes either. I've got plenty of
I
herbal.
thought we'd never get here.
Also, those
The-
guys,
the-
when they're threatened, they form up into a little murder circle. It's kind of cute.
That is very nice. It's one of those nice little biological details.
Magnificent specimen.
Dung will be turned into dung
Almost
pods.
there. Keep
Dung
it up.
pods, when you load them in your slinger and shoot them at a monster, makes them stinky, and then they become self-conscious and they leave the area.
I mean, they leave the area. I don't know if it's self-consciousness, but they do leave, which is great, especially when the
Let's see
bagel
what
pops
kind of
up
present
later.
Zora
Yes,
Magdaros
we
has left
we
for
haven't
us.
reached bagel time yet. Bagel time will be in the future. I look forward to bagel time.
But bagel time involves a lot of poop.
Yes, we are going to store up poop for the future bagel times.
Keep pushing. Look over there! Another clue!
Me first! Eureka! What gives? Jumping jaggies! It's a bear-off! Run for your life!
Follow me.
Jaggies are not in this game, but they're approximately the same as the Jagras.
Right. They're
Kind of
little
fit that role
raptors,
of, like,
right?
Yeah, like little bird wyverns, little raptors. I appreciate the fact that in these cutscenes, your hunter is competent.
Yes, it's not bumbling. Your hunter's not bumbling. They're not like, "Hoop-a-doop-a-doo." They let the handler do that. Your character is just good at stuff.
Yep. All right. You can use the SOS flare, which means that multiplayer is active, which means that you and Astera can join me now.
Yes. Which
So I'm just
means
gonna run away.
I had to leave the expedition, go back to Astera, and then I could join your because you can't join these missions from the expedition camp. You have to go back.
For some reason.
But because it's on an SSD drive instead of a PS4, I just load, and then I'm good.
It's like a 3 or 4 second load. It's great. I'm so sad that I have to put things away. Okay. I'm going to go back to base. This will be fine. This is
You
fine.
lost your trap tool?
This is fine, because I'll just get another one. I want that god bug. The ore doesn't count. It does in previous Monster Hunter games.
Which was
It's
terrible.
terrible. And you had pickaxes and they broke. And you had to take the pickaxes, which took up inventory space, to get the ore. And it would break. Same thing with the bug nets. Anyways, this is not previous Monster Hunter games.
No, it's
The
much
current-
better.
this is
Item
current,
box
yes,
to
current
manage your
better.
inventory.
BS quotient much lower, which is nice. Anyways, now that we're back here, we can just get our items back. Okay, by loading the item set, we, everything is put into the item pouch. We bring out the ones that we needed. Hey, there's Militaria.
Yep.
And what is this mysterious, adorable bathysphere kitty?
Little bathysphere kitty.
That's
Makes
a
little
that's a
mech
preview.
noises.
That's it makes the noises is like.
I think
It's one of the more unusual armors. We haven't quite gotten to the monster that creates that one yet, but this little sneak preview.
it's my favorite. It is literally. I can't decide if that one or a different one later is my favorite cat armor, but I think that
It's
might be my
pretty
cat.
good. Yeah, just as far as aesthetics, it's pretty good. We're gonna do the sort of sleep herb route. The
Right.
Bear-Off will usually stomp around the middle of the map, come down to the south, towards the mud, sort of the muddy area in the southeast, kind of. That's just like the route he'll take. So I do know that he'll be down here eventually. But this wide open area here has lots and lots of sleep herbs. These little, well, not this one, but the slightly blue flowered herbs. Get a paratoad.
Right.
And the sleep herbs, which you can get 2 or 3 of at once. And, you can get even more when you have your botanist skill up.
Right.
Combined with parashrooms, makes tranquilizers, which, as mentioned, we're going to be using all the time, always, forever, because we're going to be capturing lots and lots of monsters. So.
Yes, and there are enough sleep herbs in this area that, like, one run through it, you can actually grab as many as you can hold, even without. Are you?
Moss swine.
Oh, right, because you needed one.
I do need a moss swine hide for double reasons. One of them is it was a request. So a little bounty we can do.
Dodge their attacks. You don't want to take
I
your
swear,
fight
Hitler, if you don't shut up about get good.
I do appreciate that the handler doesn't say anything until you do something that warrants it.
It's very frustrating to get through an entire fight without taking damage and then get hit once in the end and be like, you should dodge the attacks. If you get hit, your health will go down.
Or the field training leader is like, you don't need to take those attacks head on. You can dodge.
You should dodge. Have you considered dodging? Yes, field team leader. I have considered that. I just decided not to in that moment.
All right.
Light bowgun special ability is proxy mines.
Right.
which I put on the ground right there.
Now watch this guy explode.
Yeah, explosions.
That's the sniper
Put
ammo
another
is
mine in the ground.
it's really, really good against the longer, heftier enemies.
We're going to be using a lot of... So when you put a mine in the ground, it will explode when another attack goes off near it. And the size of the... it'll explode up to 3 times, and the sort of damage of the explosion depends on the strength of the attack. Mm-hmm. So like the maximum would be like a mega barrel bomb, which will cause like it to proc sort of like all 3 charges at once. Basically, this means that you want to place the mines in front of where the monster will be. If it runs it over, or if it doesn't attack, it will also proc the mines. But as you can see, what I just did was you can just hit them yourself, either with your own weapon or by just, swiping them.
And I did do paralysis and poison on him, and now I think we're both just focusing down on the tail.
Yeah, we really want to try and get that tail done. There's the gross poison effect. Yeah. Oh no, knocked me over. When you have a light bow gun and you do a jumping attack off of a ledge, you'll do a jumping reload. So the reload speed is variable for ammo type. Mm-hmm. But the instant reload when you're doing a jumping attack is always the same. It's the fastest. So if you have like a slow reloading ammo type, that's the easiest way to get it back.
Right.
Generally speaking, the Baroth as a monster, which has been around in Monster Hunter before, it's to teach you the important lesson that you learn from the Baroth is bouncing, which is something we don't have to worry about with bowguns.
Right.
But if the hardness of the part of the monster you're hitting is greater than the sharpness of your weapon, it will bounce off, which sucks. What that means is that you'll do chip damage, you'll have this, it's really bad recoil animation that you can't cancel out of.
It's a good old clank.
Yeah, a good old clang. It still does damage.
Right.
But it takes up twice as much of your sharpness as a normal hit. So you're blunting your weapon faster, you're not doing as much damage, and you're wide open for attacks because of the bounce. Now, that's why you want to keep your weapons at optimal sharpness, why you want better weapons that have higher sharpness values, or colors in this case. Mm-hmm. But it also means you need to be cognizant of where you're attacking the monsters. The Baroth's, nose ridge, head area armor is like the strongest part of its body, and a lot of it will, because it likes to roll in mud and then harden the mud into like little pieces of armor, which you can break off. Also increases the sort of hardness value of its, just sort of, ambient armor. So what you really want to do is get into the fleshy bits underneath if you're using a weapon that requires sharpness. So like the underside here.
Yeah.
But we're using explosives, so we can just do whatever we want, really.
Right. And also, it's supposed to also tell you about switching environmental weaknesses. Like,
that's true.
Mud Baroth is weak to one element, non-Mud Baroth is weak to another element. But again, with bowguns, while there is elemental ammo on the heavy bowgun specifically, the increased damage output is almost never worth it when compared to...
He's going to sleep. We'd already set up bombs.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
As it turns out, my kitty's accoutrement gives him sleep attacks.
Yes, indeed. Normally, what you would want to do when sleeping a monster, which we'll be doing later, probably more frequently, is to immediately stop attacking so that you can set up a burst damage so that you get the maximum. But again, this was an impossible situation because we had already set off mines that were timed explosives. So.
Right.
Oh well. Next time.
This was before I realized my kitty could put things to sleep and adjusted my attack style accordingly.
Fair enough. That Baroth's almost dead. Now, you heard in the background, there was a scream, and that was the Noizos, or the Noyos, which is kind of summoning a Diablos in the background.
Hi, Diablos.
We're very, very definitely not going to fight a Diablos yet.
Yes. I had already run after the Baroth.
Yes. Dan, however, is put down a trap. go down to Trinks, and then we got captured ourselves a nice little sleepy little barrel. Didn't even have a chance to go back to his nest, which is where he was heading to in the southern part of the map, where he's been trying to go to sleep. The other thing that the Baroth can do, well, he rolls in the mud. He can spawn mud piles. There's the Prance animation. It's so good. He can spawn mud, which gives you, oh man, it slows your movement speed down to like 0.01%. It sucks.
Unless you have muck resistance.
Oh, hey. Glad you're back. Oh, don't worry. I found a safe place for the scholars to hide. I guess I'll go round them up. Wait for us back at camp.
You there. Are you part of the Fifth Fleet? Then that means the Elder Crossing is upon us again. The years fly by faster than I can count them. I too am a hunter of the First Fleet. Might I trouble you to share your tale with me? Let's find a suitable place.
And we are currently speaking to the
one of the
cornrow
first
elf.
weirdos.
Yes.
It's another one of the First Fleet weirdos.
Where they're all super strange.
So,
This one's title,
well.
since that's all they have,
Praise be.
is the Seeker.
Yes.
it sounds like the good scholars are as incorrigible as ever. Might I ask, are you tracking the monster that dropped that massive slag? I as well. It seems so easy. Follow the trail, find the truth. Well, it has been a pleasure. Nearby you will find my camp. I trust it will be of some avail to you and the others. Please pass a message on to the commander that I am safe. But a force compels me on, and I intend to see where it takes me. If you too feel so compelled, then we will cross paths again at the end of all of this.
Looks like his name is Keith Silverstein.
Oh, nice.
Was that who I think it was?
I have to look this up on IMDb.
He does additional voices. What was that?
He plays Ario Speedwagon in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and also Hisaka, the extremely creepy clown from Hunter x Hunter. Those are things that I know. Don't worry about it.
I forgot that there's a character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure named Ario Speedwagon.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot.
It's true. It did happen.
Well, your kitty got better at doing things.
I gathered. Yes. I gathered well.
You gathered 93 times. I think on my screen I got 1 award, and that's partially because I joined late.
Yes, of course.
Good to see you.
Hey, Nier. What's going on? The next thing we're gonna be doing is that one of the researchers got separated, ran into an incident.
Okay.
So we've got to go, track down his body, figure out who killed him, and then exact.
Go to the crime scene. We have to
holy justice.
We have to figure out where the blood splatter, because of the blood splatter patterns, what kind of claws ripped into him in order for him to be in such a state.
And then anything that possesses those claws must be cleansed.
Exactly. That makes sense. We can do that. Mm-hmm. The sinister shadows in the swamp, as it were.
Mm-hmm. And this is the commander talking about the first weirdo.
Mm-hmm. One of the first weirdos. And technically the commander is one of the first weirdos. Just because he's in the first fleet. I think he's the least weirdo-y. He's the competent, solid one. He's the solid one. Reliable.
He's the one who you can understand why he's the reason that this expedition has worked and is continuing on. None of the other first weirdos.
There's a bunch of other first weirdos we'll keep meeting. It's like, how did you even survive this long?
I mean, I figure the huntsman is also a first weirdo.
Yes, I do believe. He
but-
is also a first weirdo. And his weirdo-ness is more of gruff talking, never take off armor type. And that's fine.
Right, gruff talk and never take off armor, but also still somehow...
A team player. He's a team player.
Well, a team player also just like 2 weeks from retirement, too old for the...
Exactly.
Like,
That's the exact type.
That reminds me.
New monster, new armor.
exactly. And this new armor looks adorable on the kitty.
Mm-hmm. We have been rumored to be called the Shooting Star, a nickname and title that will come up later.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Baroth set. The Baroth set for women is much nicer than the Baroth set for men. Baroth set for men kind of looks like a rook chess piece.
Mm-hmm. It's too towery.
Like
Like,
very crenellated. This is the crenellation is very there.
most of the armors, like when I've looked back and forth between, the version for ladies and the version for guys, like the ladies get cooler looking armor.
Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, it will be a little bit more svelte, a little bit more sexy, because some of the other ones will just, be a little bit skimpier.
Right.
Generally speaking, they just kind of look a little cooler.
Yeah.
Because the general thrust of the male armor is more traditional WoW style of huge. So it's just like bulkiness, like huge shoulder pads. Not true of all of them, and it actually works for some of them. When you have one that basically looks like Smo's armor from Dark Souls.
that might be my least favorite one, but yeah.
But here's the kitty Baroth
He's a
armor. He's
kitty.
a little king.
He's just a little angry Stone King. Just love when it clicks back to what you are using right now.
He's just so happy. Just so happy. We'll give him the Baroth armor.
Yay.
Pieces for it. There we go. And it works a little bit better with the hat.
Yeah.
Like the color
Though
works a little bit better.
His fur is clipping through the seam a little bit, but let's
That's
just
fine.
ignore
Don't worry
that.
about it.
Let's
It's
just
fine. Don't worry about it. Just pay no attention.
didn't mean to hit that, but
Nope. It's wait, there's hanging over to the. There it is.
yay!
Yeah, Prance is one of the classic gestures. It is available for free. You just have to buy it, even though it's free. You have to technically buy it, and then go to the Meowster, and then claim it, and then
It's still Monster Hunter,
still Monster
but
Hunter. But it's getting better. It's getting better all the time. Next time we will be we'll be saving one of the researchers that got separated. He had a traumatic experience. We won't be actually facing the thing that traumatized him, but another thing that happened to be in the same area. So
right. So in case you missed it, all the talk of investigating a murder scene. No, we don't see. No one dies in this game. Are you kidding?
just the monsters.
Just the monsters, and
When
they
we
don't
cut
count.
them up.
If you've enjoyed this, please go to our Patreon, and that's where you can pledge to give us so much per month. If you can't do that, one-time tip via PayPal is also great. If you can't do that, do the like, comment, subscribe. Tell people about us. That's how we get more views and all that other stuff. And Monster Hunter.
Okay.